Africa, with its vast resources, has become the pivot of a global geopolitical game. The continent is a treasure trove of rare earth minerals, yet untapped in many places, that are essential for modern technology. These minerals are the new gold, and the world's major powers, from the USA to China, Russia, France, and India, are all vying to stake their claim. But this scramble for Africa's wealth isn't just about minerals. It's also about strategic positioning, about influence, and about power. Yet beneath the allure of Africa's riches lies a complex and often volatile political landscape. Some nations have been plagued by instability, coups, and unrest, complicating the geopolitical dance occurring on the continent. Today, we delve into the details of this geopolitical dance, examining the maneuvers of the USA, China, Russia, France, and India. Each player in this geopolitical game has its eyes on the prize, Africa's rare earth minerals. Let's take a closer look at these players. On one side, we have the United States and China, titans of the global economy, locked in a fierce competition for influence and access to Africa's resources. The US has long pursued a strategy of aid and trade, but China's approach is different. It's a massive influx of infrastructure investment and loans, which some critics describe as debt diplomacy. Then there's Russia. Its interest in Africa isn't just about minerals. Russia has been forging strategic military partnerships with several African nations, rekindling relationships that hark back to the Cold War era. France, on the other hand, has historical ties with Africa, given its colonial past. Its interests are deeply rooted in maintaining influence and access to resources, especially in the Francophone countries. Meanwhile, India, an emerging player in this geopolitical game, is making its presence felt. With a focus on information technology and pharmaceuticals, India's investments in Africa are growing steadily. But let's not forget one crucial piece of the puzzle: uranium. This radioactive mineral is a key ingredient in nuclear power and weapons, and Africa is home to some of the world's largest uranium deposits. This fact alone is enough to draw the attention of these global powers. However, these interests are not without consequences. There's been a surge in military coup, with countries like Mali and Guinea experiencing political instability. It's a situation that's been exploited by these nations to strengthen their foothold in the continent. And, as if this game of chess wasn't complex enough, China's recent moves and tactics in the region have raised eyebrows. There are concerns that its aggressive approach might be edging out the US, causing a shift in the balance of power. These nations' interests in Africa have led to a power play that has had significant implications for the continent. But this game has a darker side. The scramble for Africa's wealth creates a breeding ground for political instability. In recent years, we've seen coups d'etat, governments toppled, and nations thrown into chaos. China, with their assertive moves and tactics, is setting the pace, leaving the USA trailing. These actions aren't just about securing resources, they're about power and strategic dominance. This isn't just a game, it's a power play with real, often destructive consequences. This shadowy chess game played on the African board has far-reaching consequences. As the world watches, the geopolitical dance in Africa continues. The stakes are high, with nations like the United States, China, Russia, France, and India all vying for a piece of the continent's rich resource pie, from rare earth minerals to coveted uranium deposits. Recent political instability and coups are telltale signs of the dance's dark side, but the beat goes on. Africa remains the chessboard where nations make their moves. The geopolitical game in Africa is a complex dance of power, resources, and influence, and it is far from over.